thing gets started. All right, welcome to another XROADZ podcast, number 72, with the guys from Altamadum. What's
Hey,
up,
man.
guys?
Hey, brother.
Brennan, Cam, good to see you guys again.
Yeah, good to see you too. Thanks for having us
Good.
back. We appreciate it, Jake.
Yeah, man, of course. I appreciate you guys hitting me up. How's Canada been?
Cold. Just out of nowhere, it got cold. So we were having a good streak of actually decent weather because the rest of Canada was getting hit with snow, and it's inevitable it was going to hit us at some point too, right? So it's here, the cold weather, and this a little bit of snow, not much. It's not going to last anyways for right now, but it's at that point now where it's that time of year, right? It's after Halloween, and that's typically when we start getting hit with snow in northwestern Ontario. So
Yeah, we just started getting the snow in Montana, but we did have fall for a little while. So
yeah, I love fall. I wish it would
yeah,
last longer.
yeah, me too. But yeah, man, how's the music been going up for you guys?
Good. The music has been it's interesting because we were we had a few different little roadblocks with releasing this album. One, the ultimatum was spelled incorrectly.
Oh,
By our bass player, who's actually an English minor in university, so he's not going to live that one down. But he
was it
missed
just a simple typo or?
he missed the T. Like, we spell ultimatum differently, of course, so he missed the T in ultimatum. So it did go up on the date it was supposed to, October 21st, but it was under a different artist. Ultimatum without the T. So so once we figured that out, we were able to reach out to TuneCore, and they were very good at working with us to get it redirected. It only took about a day and a half for them to get that back up there once we gave them the information. So but yeah, it's been good because we've been able to release 3 singles prior to the album coming out. So we were able to give people a taste of the new music. The first album, or first single, Run From You, was released in March. So we were able to kind of, drop a single every couple, 2-3 months, and right up until the album release. So we're finally excited. It's out now on all platforms, in my blood. So we're at that stage now where we're just, Brendan, myself, and the rest of the guys, we're just pushing it, and having conversations like this and just kind of getting it out there on the global scale is really exciting, and then getting that feedback as well.
Yeah, I was just listening to the album, and I've been listening to it, the singles you've released, which is a smart way to market it, of course, like slowly release them and then drop the whole project. You guys just did it independently then?
Yeah, we have our own studio here, like we mentioned last time we spoke. We Thunder Sound Studio,
Right.
which is very close actually to me. It's like a 2-minute drive from the studio, from my house to the studio, which is amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, it's awesome. A little further for Brendan, but we're still we're very fortunate to have Thunder Sound, and to be able to kind of write a lot of these songs, or kind of build them in the studio, has been amazing too, because we can build and then capture them there, right? So yeah, it's been really, really exciting, and it's just been a great process in terms of writing and getting everything out there. It's been a lot of fun to write this album, honestly. We had to do it a little bit differently once again because of the pandemic, but it's been nice just to be able to, all of us haven't collectively been able to get together, but we've kind of been doing it in spurts, which has made for a different creative process. But I think it's still something. It's probably one of the albums that we're probably the most proud of to date, just because of the evolution of the band. And yeah, we're excited to hear what people have to say about it.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's awesome. I think you guys have a cool sound that's like kind of this like rock and metal sound, but it also kind of has like this upbeat vibe I think people can like dance to. I don't know if it's the drumming or what.
I think it's just an overall mixture, we all just knew like what direction we wanted to take on this album. And for me personally, it was a challenge to learn this style of drumming, just because like I went and I researched like different styles of dance music, and I noticed certain key ingredients that made that genre. So I tried to apply that into this sound we were creating, and that's what you're hearing on the album.
Nice. Yeah, it's cool because then you'll have like your rock guitar with kind of like the palm mute kind of chug sounds, and then all your like pull off licks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point, because I tried to be, I think Brendan and I especially like tried to be very tasteful with this album, right? Like I didn't want to overdo, like throw a big overindulgent guitar solo in every song, just because it didn't call for that, right? Like we wanted to make a really diverse, creative album with a bunch of different styles, and Brendan's drums definitely, like to your point, make a huge difference in the dance quality to it. Like especially Upon Yourself and Echo in the Night, like those are two that stick out, with where his drums are just like super technical but super up tempo and dancey.
Right.
So it's definitely, like I said, it was a conscious decision to be able to kind of go in and write the album that this became. So
nice.
It was fully challenging doing this album just because it was so different. It was like, okay, now we got to start thinking different, and those different thought processes will eventually transpire into our instruments.
Nice. Well, hey, it's always good to grow and expand and experiment with music. And I guess that's always the thing with a new album too, is like what's different from the last album, I guess. You guys use all the same gear you were using before?
Yep.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, because it's cool. Like we're fortunate in that respect too, because we have, like I said, we have our own studio where we're able to go in and we don't have to like pay for studio time, right? We have
Right.
our producer's like a fifth member of the band, right? And he helps us actually craft. Like we take his feedback. He's not only just an excellent producer, but he also helps us craft the songs. Like he'll put his own feedback, like try this, and it's like, oh, I would have never thought to do that. Like it's just not something that I would have incorporated. We try it out. If it works, perfect. It elevates the song, right? And we kind of like challenge each other in some degree too, to be better musicians. And there was a song specifically on the last album, on Born in the Afterglow, that was called Hold You. And that song had a lot of electronic kind of up tempo dance elements to it. And it was just so different. So I think all of us collectively got together and said, like, let's write the next album like that song. Right. Like
Nice.
let's take that song and let's see what we can do with that on like a full-length album. So we wanted to write a 10-track album, Being in My Blood, to really kind of incorporate some of the softer melodic melodies into that, but also not have one ballad on the album. Like there's ballad qualities to the songs, but all of the songs are up tempo and like you mentioned, Jake, like very dancey and very, so it's exciting because we have a show coming up that we're preparing for. I'm really excited to see how the audience reacts to some of these songs, because the feedback we've been getting so far is really, it's really like awesome, like overwhelming, honestly. And everyone seems to have their favorites that aren't like the other favorites, right? Like it's not like one or two songs that are like the runaway songs. Everyone has their own unique favorites, right? Like we had another interview before this, and the interviewer said that his one of his favorites were Last Chance, which is track 3 on the album. And I love that song, but I mean, I haven't really heard someone say that that's their favorite so far. So it's cool to hear how the songs are resonating with certain people when they hear it, and some of the things that they feel, when they hear it. It's just very exciting as artists to kind of get that feedback, right?
Yeah, I really liked what is it, On My Own?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was
a fun song
probably
to play.
one of my favorites out of the album so far. Of course, Run From You, that was one of your other singles, right? Yeah, and In My Blood. But yeah, On My Own was one that, I don't know, I was just like, oh dude, I really dig this one.
Cool. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard because it's like that was one of our producers' favorites too, but it's like it's cool because it almost seems like, there's not a lot of people are saying All I Do, actually, track I think it's track 8, it's the track right before On My Own, that it's a lot of people, like my dad, I play it for my dad. He's like the beta test for me. I take him out to the car and I play him the album, and he kind of gives me his feedback. And that's one of his favorites, or I think it is his favorite, is All I Do. So it's just cool. Like it's cool that there's not one that resonates more with people. It's all a personal choice, right?
And I think the more you listen to the project, like the more you get used to the songs and you can hear them again. So I'll just have to go back and listen through it more often. But
awesome.
I guess it looks like I listen to music on YouTube a lot, so I found it under the proper Altamadum. So it's
Yeah.
now on all the proper streaming.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. It's now available everywhere. It's everywhere that TuneCore goes, and I think beyond that too. So it should be on every single platform. Which we're excited about because that we got that little kind of that kink sorted out with the missing letter. But yeah,
Right,
it's
yeah.
available everywhere now. So
Nice. Do you guys ever print physical copies anymore? I don't know if people even do that much these days.
We haven't, just because, like you're saying, there isn't really a demand for it.
I don't listen
know?
to CDs ever. I'm just like, it's always like through my phone or the computer or something. So
yeah,
Yeah.
that was it, right? Like even my car, I don't have the option to listen to CDs. Like it doesn't even have a CD player.
yeah, for sure.
2015, so it's like it's one of those things where there's a market for it, but I feel like everyone has kind of either one of the, either Spotify, Apple seem to be the popular ones, right? So that's how I download listen to my music now. And then it's interesting too because some of maybe the older demographic they can find it on YouTube, right? Because it's released there as well. So the last couple of projects, Brendan, like we chose not to release hard copies just because the market isn't there for it, right? It's always nice having a hard copy, whether it's vinyl or CD, because you get that experience, right? Like you do when I was young and I was listening to my dad's record collection, you could look at the album, you could look at the artwork and listen to the music. But now you can see the artwork on your phone and you can listen to the music. So it's kind of like a similar experience, but it's just way more accessible for people. Because right now our market seems to be more on the international side versus the local, or even in Canada, right? Like it seems to be trending for better in the States and over in UK especially, but Europe as a whole, but mostly England and Scotland. So and it's hard to distribute physical albums out that way, right? So
Yeah,
the
true.
ability to share it, like I said, to share it through TuneCore, it's amazing because then people can throw it up on the radio, or they can they can listen to it wherever, on whatever device they want to listen to it on. So it's just that much more accessible. It's not ideal for artists in terms of the making money side of things, but that's okay though, right? Because it's, as artists, first and foremost, I think it's important that we share our art with the world, and we've been fortunate enough to do that, especially with the kind of the pandemic and everything else, right? And us being able to leverage like Instagram to really share the album or the singles to get people bought into the album, I think was a key element for us.
Yeah, for sure.
Add on to what the Cam was saying there, if there was a big enough demand for albums, we would totally do it.
Right.
But it's just not there.
Yeah, and I think vinyl records are something I would buy nowadays over CDs for sure, just because there's something about the vinyl. But yeah, I mean, the international market, like you say, with the computers, you can really expand. So you were saying your show though is going to be in your area?
Yeah, it's going to be in Thunder Bay, a new club actually, or newer club. It's not new, but it's a popular club in Thunder Bay called Atmos. And, it's an interesting club because they get a lot of DJs and other kind of hard rock, like you could get metalcore bands to DJs. It's like a dance club, but so it's really, really cool. And the people on the list that we're playing with are really cool because we have the Fixer and Railgun. Those are the other two bands, and Railgun's more of like a hardcore kind of like metalcore band that are incredibly talented musicians. And the Fixer, which is kind of a bit more of like a goth rock, Evanescence, female fronted band. So it's going to be a really exciting build to be a part of.
Nice.
And yeah, it'll be cool because we're going to be able to see, like I said, how the audience responds, and the way we have the set list. It's a 45-minute set, and we're playing for the first 5 songs. It's like older songs, like from different albums in the past,
right?
And then the last 5 songs are all new songs off the new album. So we'll be able to kind of like pause there and just say everything from this point on is all new stuff from the In My Blood album. And it'll just be really cool to see, especially in like a club environment, how people react, because I think it's going to go well because, like you mentioned, Jake, it's very kind of like dancey, right? It's very
Mhm.
up tempo and dancey. So I'm really excited to see how the audience responds to that. And that's November 26th is that show. So
Nice.
And also to mention too, the other two bands we're playing with are also local acts.
yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's all a complete local show.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I'll have to stay tuned with your Instagram and everything and see how the show goes and what's happening with that.
We might even try to do a live too, Jake. I'm just thinking about that because we've been talking a lot about this in different interviews, and it's like people aren't gonna come to Thunder Bay.
Oh,
They're
right.
like,
Yeah. And like you
who
say,
wants to-
expanding to the online and international market.
exactly, yeah. So I'm thinking we could even almost like even last night, Brendan and I were at the studio and we were just running through the set list, and we had one of our phones up and we did an Instagram live, but we just on a whim, right? We didn't really promote it. So if
Mhm.
we're promoting the show, if we can kind of like, tie it into an Instagram live event, then other people can actually attend and be there kind of with us. So that's something we might look at doing, I think, just so more people can be there, right? If they can't be there in person.
Yeah.
It also, if the bar is okay with it too, sometimes they're not all bars are interested because they're like, oh, people will stay home then, and they won't come out to the bar. We ran into that with one other bar owner here in the city, and he's just flat out like, I hate it, this and that. And it's like, okay, that won't be every bar owner, but but just something else we have to be aware of in the process.
Yeah, true. Well, there is nothing like the live experience of like being right there, feeling the energy of the band, seeing the members, and the energy is real and raw at the event itself. So
Yeah, exactly.
they're selling tickets to the event, or is it just come on in?
No, they're selling.
Yeah, the fixer, they're selling tickets.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, that's always good. And when people are willing to come pay to go to an event, that also is saying something about like, yo, man, I really want to see this band. It's gonna be a party.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's going to be. Yeah. It's cool because they're selling tickets at the door, but they're also selling tickets advanced online. So there's a link in the. I don't know. I think we shared it on our Instagram. We'll promote it heavily, kind of closer to the date, but on the Fixer's Instagram, there's definitely a link that you can actually buy tickets just because it's a Saturday night. It's Atmos is a pretty popular club in town now, so it's one of those things, right, where it will definitely be a party. Like it would be like us excluded, it would be an event that I would like to go to. You know what I mean? Just based on the other events too, but just because it's just going to be a really kind of cool lineup and diverse grouping of artists. And yeah, and then there's like an electronic, I think, industrial kind of, they're called the Fixer Light, so it's members of the Fixer doing like this electronic duo industrial thing.
Oh,
And then
cool.
it's us doing, like I said, kind of up tempo hard rock, and then it's Railgun doing kind of the more metalcore side of things, and then it's the Fixer that's like goth, Evanescence. So it's a really cool, like, just different, unique lineup. But given the event itself, I think it's gonna be a really cool night just to be. I'm really excited just to be there, just to watch the other acts too, right? So.
Another thing that's really cool what the Fixer's doing is, like, say they're selling t-shirts right now as merchandise for their shows, but instead of you just buying shirts at the show, if you buy a shirt from them through Instagram, they'll actually come deliver it to you and you can meet the members of the band.
Oh, nice.
That's how they're orchestrating it. Yeah,
yeah,
cool
that's
deal.
awesome. You guys have any merch put together right now, or?
We did, especially heavily before the pandemic, but I think we're gonna look at doing that again, just because actually our singer's wife, Michelle, she owns Majesty Makings. It's a local business that's also doing a lot of different designs, and so it's really cool because we worked with her in the past to kind of create masks and stuff like that during the pandemic with our logo on them, and then
nice.
Yeah, I think we might look at doing that again because the new artwork is it really lends itself, I think. Like I love that kind of like design that Bianca, the artist who did the artwork for us for this album, I think it would look really, really cool on a shirt, or like even like a tank top or like a sweater or something like that. Like it lends itself to that kind of thing. But yeah, in the past, like especially when we were making hard copies of albums, we would do posters, shirts, albums. So we might look at least doing kind of like clothing again because it just makes sense to do so. especially going through, like I said, Majesty makings and what Michelle's doing. It's really, really cool stuff. So yeah, it's definitely something we could do. I don't know if it'll be there for this show just because it'll be kind of a tight turnaround,
Right.
but definitely something we'll look at possibly doing in the future, just to once again just expand more of kind of the new album and just kind of promote it from that standpoint.
Yeah, hopefully you get more and more shows coming up after this event, and because I'm sure you guys love performing live, huh?
Well, definitely. Most of us signed up for this.
Yeah, for sure.
When COVID came around, that put a damper on that, but we just, we transferred that energy into just creating music.
Yeah, the studio is always good too.
It is, and those are the two things, honestly, Jake. Like Brendan and I, especially, like we got together like in our mid-teens, and we started playing like live shows like every weekend at one point in our late teens. Like we were 17 to 19, and we were that's when the local scene here was a little bit more booming. I think it's making
I hear you.
yeah, it's making a bit of a resurgence again, but there'd be nights where we'd play two different venues. We'd go from one venue to the next venue and headline the next venue, right? So it was, right across the street. So it was really, really cool. But then that's kind of how we honed our chops, right? Like we were a live act. And I think that's the mark of a good band or good performers, is when you can pull it off live. And we were fortunate enough, we didn't have the ability to go into a studio at that time to actually record ourselves. So we had no other choice but to, hone our craft live and really kind of build our sound and our chemistry that way, just through practicing for shows. And then the studio being kind of another really highlight for me. I don't know what I like better, because I love the adrenaline rush of playing live. Like I love that feeling of anything could go wrong, and you interacting with the crowd, and the crowd doing what, like the last show, there's this guy crowd surfing, and he fell right through the audience and hit the ground.
Oh geez.
Yeah, and that was so you never know what to expect, right? And it's usually really high energy, right? Especially when we have an up tempo set list, and the club or the bar, the venue's packed, right? It's you just feed off of that. But I do love recording though, because there's nothing better than having an idea, going into the studio and seeing it come to fruition, and then building it, recording it, being kind of energized by the other guys in the room. Like Brendan and I, like we inspire each other when we go to the studio, and we build off of each other's creativity and energy. And then we have this fully finished piece of music that we get to share with people. Like that to me, that's like a natural high, right? But it doesn't, that's the thing, right? It's really, really cool because there's that longevity, but I don't know if it matches the high of that you get in the moment when you're playing live. You're under those spotlights, you're just running around sweating, just feeding off of the energy of the audience. Super raw, super just unpredictable. I love that unpredictable vibe, right? Of just anything could happen right now, right? Anything could go wrong. So if we have a successful show, it's like, it's just like, oh yeah, we all look to each other and we're like, yeah, that's awesome, right? But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and we're excited to kind of get back into that. But we always, our biggest thing is when we go into the studio and write, we kind of close ourselves off from the outside world. Like we'll continue sharing things on our social media and continue to expand upon that, but in terms of live, we kind of like focus on the writing and the recording of it. And then when we finish a project, in the past, that's typically when we go back out, we play a slew of shows, and then we go back into the studio. So I think it's time now where we're looking to like really especially push this album and get back out there and start playing some more live venues. We were supposed to play a huge festival in town. It was like a 4-day festival, but it fell through due to lack of government funding because of the pandemic. And it was like canceled days before the event. Like it was on buses, billboards, news, radio, it was everywhere. And we were really excited to headline actually night 3 of that festival. And then it like I said, due to lack of government funding and the pandemic, it fell through. So but we're excited. We're excited to do like this show makes sense for us to go get out and do, and we're looking forward to kind of maybe doing a bit of a run over the next little while of shows, especially new venues. Like we've never played at Atmos before, so we're excited to play at this club. So
nice. Yeah, well, that's awesome. I hope there's another run of shows, because I know how it feels. It's been a while since I've got back up and played live. Has it been a while for you guys? For a live concert?
Brendan and I, we did this. It's a really popular Canadian band. It's not as popular elsewhere, but they're called the Tragically Hip.
Mm-hmm.
And we a long time ago we were asked to do this cover show, and our bass player actually sounds a lot like the singer who passed away, Gord Downey. He's got a
Mm-hmm.
very so we did it as kind of like, okay, we'll do this, right, as like a one-off thing, and then it cascaded into this like long time, like we do a couple shows a year. So
Nice.
Brendan plays drums, I play lead guitar, typically, and then James will sing, our
Mm-hmm.
bass player, and then we have two other artists from local bands. So we've actually Brendan played one of those two shows, but I've played two shows this year under that heading. But it
Mm.
also feeds back into what we're doing as Ultimatum, because it's like, oh, there's Cam, James, and Brendan from Ultimatum, so we draw traffic from that as well. But that kind of also satisfies that itch to play live. And then all the
Yeah.
proceeds actually go to Gord's charity. So everything that we raise in terms of like what we make at that show, it goes to his charity for brain cancer research, I believe. So
Oh,
um,
nice. That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. So it's satisfied that. But in terms of Ultimatum, like I said, we were excited to play the festival, and it's like but it's okay because,
Mm.
like I said, we're doing a lot. We're having a lot of these conversations. Like we're doing a pretty extensive press run right now to promote the album. And prior to that, it was promoting the three singles from the album. So
Right.
we have a kind of a big list of kind of conversations and interviews and magazines and stuff that we're doing on top of the show, and then on top of writing new music in the background, because we're always writing new music because we always have different ideas. And
Nice.
there's been some talk about releasing a deluxe version of this album at some point. So
Mm.
but we'll all be getting together this week actually to practice for the show and prep for that. So I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit more about that then. And yeah, but try to keep everyone updated on our Instagram.
Nice. Yeah, I've seen you guys had another like podcast interview like an hour ago or something, possibly.
Yeah, yeah, that
Nice.
was with in Florida actually. We that was another one that we did again with Donnie. He's another guy who's just, he's doing a lot in the music scene right now, and he's a super interesting dude to talk to. And so yeah, we did that just prior to this, and then we're trying to, like I said, just trying to spread the word of the album. And because it's this is an exciting one for us, because we spent, it seems like a lot of time on it, even though it's only been like probably, what, Brendan, like a year and a half, I guess.
That's a
Maybe
good
that.
amount of time.
It is for us. It is because we typically will release things on a quick cadence. So yeah. So for this one, it seems like it's been like we've been sitting on this, even though we've been releasing singles. So it's very gratifying when you finally see it on Spotify, Apple Music, and you can download it, share it, and listen to it. And it's like a baby, right? And in the weirdest way, it's like having a kid that you're proud of and you just want to show people. Like
Yeah,
that's
for
what the
sure.
album feels like, right? So
Well,
And
yeah,
it's
it's
all grown up.
yeah, for sure. It's all grown up and it's out there now. And
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, great writing, great recording. The mixing and mastering sounds great too.
so
And yeah, man, I'm stoked. Hopefully I can connect you guys and the album with some more artists. I don't know if there's anything else you guys wanted to chat about with the album or any of your promotion.
yeah, just like I said, we just want to thank everyone for giving the album the listen and checking out the singles. And Brendan and I are very busy on Instagram, so if anyone wants to send feedback our way, or how a
Yep.
song's made them feel, or anything like that, we love that, right? Like as artists, that kind of fuels us. I mean, our art fuels us first and foremost, but that feedback is super vital. And like I said, we're very we're regularly on Instagram. We check it at least daily. So it's, if anyone reaches out, or about the songs, ways to get in contact with us, probably best through Instagram. And then we have our website as well, altamadum.com. And I always, like I said, I always get a kick out of hearing what people's favorite songs are on the album, or what resonates with the most, because on this run it seems to be a different song or a different grouping of songs.
Right.
So which is cool, right? Because that means there's not one or two runaway songs. It's kind of like we tried to devise a really strong, catchy album, right? One that's very up tempo, but has those earworms, especially in the choruses. Like, so it's like you're humming it after you listen to it and just get stuck in your head. And that's the way that was a conscious decision. And we tried to really kind of do this album. But I mean, it's just my only feedback, I guess, in terms of people who are listening to it is just, you know, listen to it with open ears and open heart, and because it doesn't really sound like, you know, Brendan and I've had a lot of conversations, and no one can really kind of pair it to another artist. It doesn't really. It sounds like something new, and it doesn't really sound like anything else. So, just I would say just go in with, like I said, an open mind, and you know, the idea of experiencing something new, right? Something new and different, right? Because that's our kind of primary goal, is to leave a stamp on the music industry and the music scene, and not really take away from it or try to replicate it, but bring something new. And Sam's voice is in itself is very distinct and unique, and Russ's mixing style and his production style is also incredibly diverse, right? Because he comes from a different time, which is amazing, because I think that honestly helps contribute to our sound, right? And he also, like I said before, he throws different ideas our way, and will experiment on those. So he not only is a producer, but he's almost like, I almost view him as one of the artists in the group, because he provides so much feedback and ideas and all these other things. It's almost like he's, like I said, there's 5 of us, there's 4 musicians, and Russ as well with Thunder Sound Studio. So it's this album was honestly a blast to make, especially in the early stages, because it was just so, you know, Sam's playing the keyboards and it sounds like a late 90s techno song, and Brendan's doing this like heavy, you know, double kicking drum, and I'm doing all these, like you mentioned, pull-offs and stuff. So it's just with these poppy vocals that Sam's putting over top, it's just something different, right? So it was a blast to make, right? Like Run From You, especially, that was one of the first songs that we kind of made. It was just super fun, because it's like this is going to be something very different for us, and we were just right on the cusp of starting that, and that was exciting in itself. So
nice. Yeah, you guys definitely have a unique sound, and it's always cool to see little clips of you guys on Instagram and whatnot of just like playing your licks or whatever it may be. One thing I was going to ask before I let you guys go was about if you guys are going to make any new music videos at all,
yeah,
or if you thought about that.
we did. We had it kind of lined up before. Like, we've been going through, like, it's just odd. Like, I know that, you know, in Northwestern Ontario with the pandemic, it's been like we've been trying to follow public health regulations, and trying to be, so we've been spotty even with just going to the studio. So we've really tried to maximize the studio time that we're together. But it's obviously has loosened over the last while. But prior to that, we had All Night from our last album. It's our single All Night from Born in the Afterglow, because we really that's still one of, you know, that's still a favorite of mine, actually. I really like that song, and we were all we were working with a production company, actually, the partner of the Bianca, Curtis. He's got his own, the woman who did our album covers, our last 2 album covers, her boyfriend has this Apple Wagon, I think it's called, production company. And so we were working with him to write a video for that, right? And then it didn't make sense, so we prolonged it. We just haven't been in touch since, but it makes sense, I think, now to probably at some point in time throw a video out there. You know, that's kind of a secondary thing to the album, but it's an important thing, right? To kind of get that out there as another, you know, avenue to promote the music. So, but I don't know what song we'd pick. Like I said, we all kind of have our own favorites, right? So it's like, what song do you hone in on to actually make into the music video? So it's
Right.
But it's not off the table. Like, anything's on the table right now. The way I see it is that, you know, we're willing to explore kind of every and all avenues of opportunity that come our way. So,
Well, right on. Yeah, great job on the album, guys. Best of luck with the next upcoming show. I hope it's awesome. I'm sure it will be. Sounds like it's going to be rad.
yeah,
Hopefully some more come after it too.
Yeah, we'll stream it if we can.
Yeah, I'll stay tuned.
To add to what Cam says, if we stream it, we'll tag you in the stream so you can watch it.
Nice, yeah. And that's the other thing I'm going to try and do with these XROADZ podcasts here soon. I've been looking into hooking it up for live streaming, so that when I do the interview, it'll just go live onto all the other, you know, onto YouTube, Facebook, and all these other channels, so that there could be a live chat with the audience as well.
Yeah, those are always fun.
So
yeah.
Well, once I get that going again, I'll have to hit you guys up, see how it's going, and we can try the live chat. So maybe we'll be able to get some like live Q&A stuff going on with other people too. So
absolutely, yeah, that'd be a pleasure, Jake. Always a pleasure connecting, man. Thank you for making the time for us. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for hitting me up, guys. It was a good
Yeah.
time, and I'm looking forward to the next time.
Awesome,
Us
brother.
too. Thanks for having us on, buddy.
Yeah. You guys take care and keep on rocking.
Okay, Jake, talk soon.
Yeah,
Thanks, man.
see you
All
later.
right, later.